Yeah, Scott, to me, I actually saw a video which sort of made me think a little bit along the lines of what Peter and you have been saying about the fact that MLM, when it's done right compared to done wrong. But I actually see it in a slightly different way. Now, this video, which I've got on the screen now, she compares the odds of winning at roulette to making money in MLM. And as you can see from this data here, I'd put it this way. I think there's bad MLMs, and then there's very bad LMs, and then there's very, very, very bad MLMs. Now, I think that's where Amway is. Amway is in the very, very, very bad MLM class. Your more traditional MLMs that do things like they have parties and people come to buy things. I just think they're bad because there's more. It's more focused on retail sales. But Amway is purely convince people that you can make them become multimillionaires and that they can have a passive income for life with doing a minimal work. And at the same time, the people making the extravagant money are making the vast, overwhelming majority of their money from the tools. That to me is, Amway to me is the worst of the worst of the worst. So we kind of, me, you, and Peter agree, except you guys classify the traditional MLM that has a focus on retail sales as being done right. I just say they're bad, but the other ones are very bad, very, very bad, and very, very, very bad. What's your take on that?
Well, if they have retail sales, then what is your issue with that type of an MLM? Let's talk about the insurance companies that Marco's been interviewing distributors from. I mean, if they
Yep.
really have those retail sales, then what's the problem?
The problem is that the loss rates are still over 99%. So they're not as bad as Amway. They're not. There's not a tool scam there, but this every single study that I've seen tells me that 99% plus loss rate. So even if there's retail sales, which is a positive thing, it's a good thing. If the loss rate is 99%, then it's a bad thing because if you've got a chain of hamburger shops and the loss rate is over 99%, I don't care if it's 100% retail sales. That's a bad business. A business that has a 99 point something percent loss rate, that's a bad business. And the only way that you're going to get someone to join a business with a 99% loss rate is if you trick them and you fool them. And that's how these MLM companies get people, and they get them in through deception and trickery. And actually, I had a thought yesterday about you, Scott. If Amway hadn't have had a tool scam, do you think you would have quit Amway when you did, and do you think you'd still be in Amway?
It depends if I had found out about the lack of retail sales being an illegal pyramid or not.
Yep. Okay, so you all right? So you probably would have stayed in a bit longer, but then you're saying you would have found out later on about the lack of retail sales.
I imagine I would have found out sooner or later just
Yeah.
because of the internet.
Yeah. True.
And to me, I don't, again, I don't put the label of 99.7% on every single MLM. I don't know if you know of any study that was done on any specific insurance MLM that would indicate over 99%. But then also what you need to do is compare whatever the loss rate is for an insurance MLM to a non-insurance company,
Yep.
excuse me, a non-MLM insurance company, because I bet you that the failure rate of your typical corporate salesperson for insurance is very high also.
Yep.
And so you need to be able to compare apples to apples and not, again, paint with that broad brush, because it's not easy to sell insurance. Insurance is not easy to sell.
Absolutely not. Well,
And that's why they pay so well, is
I
because,
get that. Yeah.
not too many people can do it, and you have to have a big carrot out there to incentivize people to go try to sell it.
Well, put it this way then. If my passion in life and the thing that I was most talented at was selling insurance, this is what I would do. I would find out what the average insurance person makes for the traditional model, and then I would compare it with the MLM insurance selling model. And I would almost guarantee you with certainty that the average income for a traditional insurance seller would be significantly higher than under the MLM model. That's how I would
Um,
do it.
yeah, I mean, I would approach it the same way, and I would say that there's a pretty good chance, And when you say average, that's a tricky word because you don't know how much effort somebody put into something, and that's an important
Yep.
factor when you're saying average.
But there'd be,
Is your non MLM insurance person does not make any money from anyone else. All they do is their own personal sales. Whereas an MLM, it's your own personal sales plus anybody that you get to join the MLM insurance company. So to me, the potential is much higher in an MLM insurance model than it is in a traditional corporate insurance.
I get what you're trying to say there, and I think you've been told so many times again and again and again that it's part of you still believes it, or most of you still believes it, that the reason for the high failure rates in MLM is lazy distributors. Now, I'm sure there are some lazy distributors, and I think a big part of the reason why there's so many is because when people are prospected, they're sold this dream of do the work once, you then got a passive residual income. You don't have to work ever again. Now, of course, a lazy person is going to be more attracted to that than a non-lazy person. But having said all of that, I'm sure there's in traditional insurance selling lazy people who do that too. So I don't think it's reasonable to say that the reason for the high dropout rates, failure rates in MLM is everybody's lazy. I mean, could 99.7% of them be lazy? I've got no doubt some are lazy, but it could. I don't think it's 99.7%. And in fact, I think a lot of people that join MLMs are people that are very aspirational, very driven. They want to have a business, but they just don't have the capital to set up a traditional business. So that's what draws them to MLM. It's sort of ambitious people without money behind them. So I feel like
Well, there's many other reasons why people do quit, but in my own personal experience and,
yep.
and all of my research, and this includes the testimony from Jay Van Andel in the 1979 Amway case against the FTC. He said that the first year, and this is back in 1979 now, the first year quitting rate is 75%, and then years 2 and 3 and 4, for each year that you go on, it's about 25%. So it's not just lazy; it's lazy, and somebody that gets rejected doesn't like that feeling, and they just don't want to be a part of it anymore. There's a lot of reasons people quit. It's not just being lazy is the only one, but it is a major one. I mean, in my experience, people join and then they just don't do anything. And I think a large part of the reason isn't so much pure laziness. It's more, it was a very low entry bar, right? It didn't cost you hardly any money to join Amway. And so easy in is easy out. And contrast that to an insurance MLM, you have to go get a state license. You have to pay money, you have to put your effort into it, your time into it, you have to pass a test. So there's a lot more skin in the game when you join an insurance MLM, and that's why I think the failure rate is lower. I don't how much lower I don't know,
Yep.
but certainly because you put more into it to get in, then probably you're going to stick to it more than someone who put almost nothing into it. And as soon as the wind blows in a different direction, they're out of there. It's one of those things: easy come, easy go, and that's the nature of the beast. It's a very low bar of entry to join most MLMs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get your point. I'll ask you this question though: would you rather Marco do videos about people like Bill Britt and Dexter Yeager, even if, let's say, you're 100% correct and he's missing the key bits of information, and he's just sort of playing their videos? Surely it's better for Marco to be doing that than to not be talking about Bill Britt and Dexter Yeager at all. I think it's fantastic that Marco's audience is now aware of who Dexter Yeager is. People like CC Suarez, I think it's I urge her to do some videos about Dexter Yeager. There's so many massive anti-MLMers who don't know who these key people are. I feel like the Amway Corporation has won a huge battle. They made a decision to hide these people from YouTube, and they have succeeded. So I applaud Marco for finally getting these guys onto YouTube. So do you give him at least a tick for covering Dexter Yeager, even if you don't think he did it perfectly?
Yeah, I gave him a 3. Yeah.
Okay. So All right. I'm guessing you're saying that three's better than what you normally give him. So you're saying it's
Yeah, I
better
give him a
than
zero. I mean, the guy's a big zero.
okay.
So yeah, a three's a big step up for Marco.
Okay. So all right. So he's improving in your eyes. He's gone from 0 to 3.
That's right.
Okay. All right. I was gonna pause for a shit. Wrong button.